our channel. So here's the story of the little Falcon that I plan on building back. And I hope that I did a good enough job explaining everything on it. And I just can't believe it, and just appreciate everyone that's helped me with this project. And I hope you enjoy the build. All right, guys. First off, I want to welcome all my new people that's come over from Sleeper Dude to subscribe to my channel. I appreciate y'all coming over and checking out my little project. I hope you do check out some of my other projects that I've put on here. So anyway, welcome to Heritage Gate Farms. So a little background on myself. I've been a lifelong body technician ever since my dad opened a car lot up in 1979. I've been playing with cars, and I really always just enjoyed old cars. So a little history on the little project we're doing here, and the reason why I'm picking this car instead of the other car that I got from Sleeper Dude. A 64 Falcon Sprint was the very first car that I ever got. We had a car lot, like I said. My daddy grew up in it. I've got some pictures on there on it. It's Luther's Used Cars in Etowah. And so I could probably had any kind of car I wanted. And ironic enough, I wanted the 64 Falcon that was out behind the car lot. How did it end up behind the car lot? Well, what happened was my daddy bought this car bought the 64 Falcon that's in the pictures at the beginning of the video from a guy that actually bought the car brand new. He drove it for a few years, turned it into I guess a typical 70s drag car. Luckily, didn't cut anything at all on it. They took and jacked out the quarters just a little bit on it to put a set of cheater slicks on it, and that was pretty much it. We bought the car as a rolling shell, or my dad did actually. We brung the car home. Dad brung the car home, and me and him over the course of a few years there when I was in grammar school, put a 289 in it. The guy actually got the original 289 and the Borg Warner T10 close ratio 4-speed that actually come out of the car actually new. A lot of discrepancy on the fact that my car had the 289 and a bent seat and a 4-speed, but it was actually a 64.5, and they did a very, very limited number of those actually came that way. So anyway, to make a really long story short, we worked on it, got it all running and everything, and had a guy that helped Dad do some of the mechanical stuff, welding and stuff, because we didn't have that capacity at the car lot at that time. And my dad the car was Wimbledon white originally when we got it. Well, my dad, you'll see in those pictures that I put up, or the reason I put that up, my dad bought a brand new 64 Sprint 260 3-speed on the column that was that sky blue, gray, whatever, and not to knock to Pierce, but I just never liked it. I just really never liked that color. And so anyway, my dad trades, get this, a 66 4-door Impala 327 Paraglide that was all original. It was bright yellow. And so my dad trades the car to this guy to help and actually do the work to paint the car that smoky gray color. So we work on that thing. I go with my dad down to my papa's car lot, and we painted that thing down there and put lacquer on it, buffed and rubbed on it. I'll never forget. I'm going to tell a little tale on me. I sat on the steps when they were painting the car, and too young to help then. I was in probably 7th grade. I guess I could have helped, but I was sitting on the steps, and I sat inside that building with a box fan blowing out of it inside the steps on that car the whole time they painted that car with all that lacquer and clear lacquer and all that stuff like that. And I'm going to kind of tell on myself. I tried to get up and I couldn't. My dad had to help me up out of there. I had got absolutely just, whatever you want to call it, off that fumes off of that paint. And I'm thinking, this is what I want to do for a living. So that's how I ended up doing body work. So shorten the story up a little bit, me and Dad works on the car for very many more months after that, putting all the original chrome back on it and everything. We get the car done. I didn't even have my driver's license at the time, so I followed my dad from the car lot up to the house. We parked the car way up in the yard. Funny thing is, when my stepmom went to go to work, she got in her 79 Monte Carlo and backed down the side of the car like 2 hours after the car was completed, after working on it like 2 years. I'll skip all the bleepity bleeping and the blankety blanking that my daddy went through and everything at that time. And so we bring the car back down the car lot, park it in behind the car lot, and it sat there for about 2 years. Fast forward till I'm 16 years old. Dad says, like I said, we owned a car lot. We didn't have a whole lot by no means, but we had a little. And day I turned 16, Dad says, looks out at the car lot and says, pick you a car out there, son. And I said, okay. I said, well, actually, I don't see the car I want out there. And he said, why don't you see the car you want out there? I said, well, the car I would really like to have is the 64 Falcon that's back behind. He's like, no, you can't have that. That's my car. He said, how about this 79 bright red Sunfire? I was like, yeah, that's kind of the same. V8, 4-speed, 64 Falcon, 79 Pontiac, Sunfire, 4-cylinder, straight shift. Whatever. No. So after the whole deal of me asking for the car and he tells me no, I can't have it, I drive the little red Sunfire around a little while. Fast forward a few months later, we are at the car sale actually, and I see this. We see this Dodge Charger. A Charger or a Challenger one, the little 2-door job. Pretty neat, 318, really nice car. It's silver. I remember it just like it was yesterday. And my daddy's like, what do you think about this thing? It's all right, I guess. So anyway, he bid on it. Didn't happen. So on the way back, him, me, and my dad and his best friend, Blub. Yeah, imagine why he called him Blub. Blub at that time weighed like 550. He was awesome. Such a good guy. And anyway, so he gets telling my daddy that he cannot believe that he won't let me have the Falcon. That it's just been sitting back there all that time. And anyway, so he gilded him all the way home. Next morning I get up, get home from school. Of course, I go to the car lot, and I get to the car lot. When I get to the car lot, my dad's got the Falcon sitting outside. Sorry, guys. So my dad's got the car sitting outside. And he said, all right, here, you can have it. I'm sorry. Get a little emotional when we talk about the old car and my dad, too, because sadly enough, you know, in my dad's 60s, my dad fell to weak-mindedness, and I buried my 62-year-old dad, and he turned into a meth addict. But he was awesome during this time. And everybody has their weaknesses. So anyways, so I get the car. I'm out here. We clean it all up and everything. So then we end up, here comes the reason why I'm going to build this car right here, this yellow car. The local Gulf station down the street, both of the owners had a Falcon. The owners and one of the guys that worked there. The owner actually had this Falcon. He bought it brand new. It's a 64 2-door hardtop Futura. It was a 6-cylinder automatic on the column. Okay? So we take the car down there because it actually needed a little bit of mechanical stuff doing it and some welding that we couldn't do at the car lot. So we take it down there. So that means that I have known this car right here since 1979, believe it or not. No, that would have been 1980. I'm sorry, it'd been 1980. Okay, so we fixed the car up. Over the next 3 years, it went through all different various changes and stuff. And it went from the picture of me standing in front of it and the picture of the front yard to the other two pictures you see where it's still sitting in the front yard. But if you'll notice, it's a different color. It's charcoal gray now. And the motor in that thing had took 3 years for me to collaborate every bit of that stuff. And through the car lot, trading on cars and all that stuff like that, I ended up with all that stuff you see on that motor and everything that's in there. And that's how that car looked in 1984. In 1984, that thing was a pretty hot little vehicle. And it's a wonder I had any friends at all, because not only was you not going to dare lean up on my car, I wouldn't hardly even let you touch it. I was that guy. I chamoised that car off before I went to school. I had 3 chamois cloths. I had a chamois cloth for a body, I had a chamois cloth for the motor, and I had a chamois cloth for the wheels and tires. Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? But anyways, so fast forward 20-something years later, my son gets into shooting. At that time, I wasn't very responsible with my finances and things. I had a wife and 2 kids, and I wanted for my kids to stay home, and we homeschooled them. My son gets into shooting. I sell my dream car to buy him a gun. Would do it over, because I have got one heck of a kid. Both kids, my daughter and my son both. Would do it in a heartbeat again. So anyways, years later, I have my own shop. This is where the yellow car comes in. I cannot remember. I called the people that used to work for me and the guy I traded for and everything, and I somehow ended up with a Pinto dirt track car. If any of my buddies ever watch this thing and they can help me remember where I got the Pinto, that'd be cool. That would complete the story. But anyways, I trade the Pinto back for this car right here that my buddy at the Gulf Station owned all those years earlier. I traded Travis Brown out of this thing because I actually contacted Travis Brown. He says I burned him. I doubt that. And so that's how I ended up with this car. I kept the car for many years, and I had it stored over at my uncle's. You seen another previous video over there. I had it stored back there in the junkyard, waiting to one day maybe build this car. Okay? So, a few years ago, I end up and I find a few pieces for this particular build of this car. And what happened was I was just randomly looking through Marketplace one day, and another acquaintance of mine that I learned through horses had all this independent front Mustang 2 front end. Had everything, got everything but the cross member, the shocks, and I guess the coil springs, and the calipers in the road, and the calipers for the disc brakes, the rotors, everything, all that's there. You see that in another little video that I put on there. So I trade that. I go over, and he says, if he remembered right, I gave him, he must have really been wanting rid of it. I gave him $200 for that front end, and I also bought a set of late model 17-inch Mustang wheels that I was going to try to end up putting on my 65 Ranchero. There's a couple of videos of my old Ranchero on that thing. And anyway, they wouldn't fit. So fast forward again, my buddy Sleeper Dude puts this video up to where he had drugged this car out of the woods, and I have known this car being sitting there in these woods for probably 30 years or so, like he had said, that his son said it was sitting there. And so he makes the video, I make a comment of it, and I said, dang, man, I said, I need that. Because this car has everything that car don't have. So, my good friend, old Sleeper Dude, I end up making a little bit of exchange with him, and I trade him the wheels and some cash, and I end up with this bad boy right here. This is why I'm not going to build this car, okay? Now, this car is very buildable. My plan is to take the pieces that I need off of this car to go onto that car, take all my extra pieces, put it on this car, and I plan on paying it forward when I get rid of this car to go onto that car over there. All right? Biggest thing this car needs over here is fenders. This car has one absolute perfect left front fender. I don't have the piece that goes across the front, I don't think, unless I dig it out of there. This fender over here is wrecked, but like I said, being a body man my whole life, surely to goodness I can fix that fender, which I can. And so, when we get over here, I've been under the weather bad. So we dragged that thing out. You'll see the video where we dragged that out, but on closer look, and I've got some more pictures, I just wanted to give an introduction here. And when it warms up a little bit more, jump down, boy, and you'll see Milo, because he can't stay out of the way. You'll see that these floorboards and stuff, unless I find something hid under there, believe it or not, this car is super solid. It is crazy super solid underneath the bottom of it and everything. Had a guy tell me that the reason why that it didn't rot is because that it had those pine cones and stuff on it. So, and look here, I've got the stainless skirts that actually come off of this car to go on this thing too. But we got a little bit of stuff right here on the bottom of it. So anyway, over a period of from 1979 until present day, that's the story behind me building this old car back. So I'm literally going to get to, and I'll tell some more about how Sleeper Dude had a motor and a block and everything to build the car like I had. I remember everything about it because I literally, me and my dad turned every bolt on that little gray car. My uncle saved the rear end out of it because that's who I sold it to when I bought the gun. The rear end that was in my first car is over at my uncle's, and it's going in this bad boy right here. Still sitting there just like it was when he took it out probably 25 years ago. So that's the one reason that I'm going to build this car here back instead of the other one. Unless some major something once I get all this stuff here taken out of it, which I don't really foresee that, but that'll be for another time. And we're going to put the independent front end on it and stuff on it. And anyway, we're gonna build my car back, and I'll tell some pretty good stories of when we were building the car back, when we got out behind the car lot, and I learned how to speed shift that thing, and I'm gonna tell you good memory stories how me and my dad built my very first car, and so I'm looking forward to it. I've always wanted the car back. I've enjoyed it. I've got a, come on, Milo. I've got a 65 Ford Ranchero Deluxe that I got from my uncle, from my aunt and my uncle. And we enjoy that thing and drive it around. So I know where everything goes on this car. I've had it all apart, one before, multiple times. When me and Dad put it together, and when I took it back apart and painted it, my senior year, when I painted it, 84 F-150 charcoal gray with double the clear in it that my old buddy Grady Smith mixed up for me. And I got some really cool tales, and I got some really cool stories to add to this thing about how that everything's just lined up. Sometimes it's supposed to be. And it's been pretty cool. So I found a motor that I can build back just like it. I found an intake. I found a transmission. I found a bell housing, and I have little short clips in that because I didn't want to give too much of it away until we got this. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for following my little page here and my build on this Falcon. And then if you like old reclaimed stuff and everything, go back, check some other videos about it. That's the reason this place is called Heritage Gate Farms, is because we literally 90% of everything you will see in the background of my videos, my house, my barn, everything, we got reclaimed and we moved from one site to another site and put this thing up one piece at a time, just like we're going to do this car over here. You know what? And I'm sure it's going to come out, and I know it's going to be good enough for who it's for. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have a great day. Yeah, supper time's over, Stevie. Oh, there you go. Have at it, baby girl. There goes Stevie. And here goes Misty. Go on, girl. That big rocky butt there. Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, heifer. Yo, heifer. I love the horses. You'll see